All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Breaking Free from Subconscious Patterns that Keep You Stuck. My name is Gab, and today you're going to receive an introduction into our root cause healing method. So, if you're new, if you've never seen us before, my name is Gab, and today I'm joined by my partner Serenity. Serenity, say hi to everybody. So Anity's going to be helping me with slides, and she's going to be around to answer any questions that you have in the chat. Now, before we begin, I want to take a moment to allow us all to get to know each other a little bit better. So if you're joining us, do me a favor, in the chat, type in, where are you calling from? What part of the country are you calling from? Where are you joining us from? Okay, cool. So I'm seeing here Seattle, Los Angeles, some folks in Texas. I have some family in Texas. Great. Florida, good to see you, so and so. Awesome. All right. Well, we don't have a lot of time, folks. So before we begin our journey together, I have no way of knowing just how powerful, just how profound today's session is going to be. I have no way of knowing just how much excitement and joy you're going to feel learning some of these concepts. But what I ask is that if you have any questions that come up before a great decision is about to be made, do me a favor and please write your questions down. And at the end of our session today, I will create a little bit of space for us to have a Q&A. Now, some of you I've spoken with on the phone over the past couple of weeks leading up to this event, and we have a list of questions as well that some folks have asked. So I will do my best to address those questions as well. And please keep your questions until the end once we get to our Q&A session. All right? Now, before we begin, I want to invite us all just to take a moment to arrive fully in this now moment. So wherever you are, at home, if you're able to, take a moment to just close your eyes. Closing your eyes. And I want you to think about all the reasons why you said yes to being here in this now moment. Think about everything that has happened in your life that has led you to being here. The choices that you have made, the choices that were made for you, the great deal of circumstances that have led you to be the person that you are listening to this presentation right now. And with your eyes closed, I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose. And once you hold that breath at the top, I want you to make some noise on the breath out. Let's do that 2 more times together, friends. Inhale through your nose, fill up. Expanding from the belly, your chest, your throat, hold it. 3, 2, 1, exhale and sigh it out. Let's do that one more time. Big inhale through the nose, we fill up. A little bit more this time. Inhale. Let me hear it, let me see it. In the chat, if your camera's on, inhale a little bit more, hold it. And release. All right, shaking out the arms, shaking out your head. And now last time, yogis, with the lips sealed, inhale through your nose. Closing the eyes, gaze up towards your third eye. And this time, as you hold your breath, I want you to exhale through your nose. Now, the challenge for today's practice, for today's session, is to maintain a step of breathing in and out through your nose as we move through your class. And if that's a foreign concept, if that's not something that you're familiar with, I totally understand. Notice what it feels like to breathe. We're going to start with a couple of moments of silence. Taking a few moments of silence for ourselves, our loved ones, those that were not able to be here today. Taking a few moments to root down and connect with every single person that is joining us here in this moment, all over the world. connecting to the earth. Wherever you are, and whatever you are doing right now, take this moment to give yourself permission to arrive here now, to let go of everything that has happened before today, and to suddenly begin to feel what it is like to be fully present, focused. The more and more you continue to breathe, pay attention to the sounds that are coming out of my mouth, the easier and easier it's going to be for you to make a great decision today. Decision to make a lasting change in your life. Let's hold just a minute of silence to that end. Now, yogis, I want you to notice, keeping your eyes closed, notice what your experience has been like. You see, a monk once told me that if you want to understand your psychology, if you want to understand what you're really about, simply close your eyes and breathe. And you'll notice a whole host of thoughts, ideas, sensations, experiences that may come up from that. What came up for you during these past couple of moments? Now, for these last couple of seconds, these last couple of breaths, I want you to give yourself permission to begin again. And this time, instead of focusing on your breath, instead of trying to stop these thoughts, or maybe you have a specific type of meditation that you're accustomed to doing, I want you to put that to the side today. And for the next couple of breaths, I want you to just give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be with anything that arises right now. Allowing your mind to be wide and expansive. When it's time, I will guide us through. Okay, yogis, eyes closed as you bring your hands to prayer by your heart. And we begin our session today by chanting Om together. Om, the sacred sound Om. How do we chant Om? We start with the syllable Ah. Take a deep breath in, starting with Ah. So let's go ahead, let's all do it wherever you are. Deep breath in. Ah. Beautiful. Take another deep breath in. And now we're moving on to O, O, O. Great job. Now we're going on to our last syllable. Oo. Oo is the syllable that we're going to next. Inhale through the nose. Beautiful. So now we're going to tie it all together one time at the same time, yogis. Inhale through the nose. Gently bowing down and giving thanks to all of our teachers, all of our mentors, all of our guides, our healed ancestors, every single one that has worked so hard for us to be here. May the merits of this work go to them and to all the sentient beings in this life. May everything that we learn be to the benefit of others. Gently bowing down and giving thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, getting started today, I am really, 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 really excited to be able to present this information to you. And normally, when we work with our elite clients, we work with people for about $10,000 to learn some of the information that you're going to learn over the next hour. So, and we're giving it all completely for free. The reason for that is because now, more than ever, we need to be able to be in a position where we can share our gifts, share the knowledge that we have been given to make the world a better place. Because you see, I am a die-hard optimist, and I actually believe that a better world is possible. And in order for us to live in that world, we have to be able to address and heal ourselves. And at our school, at Yoga Marga School, which is the school that I founded with my partner Serenity, we believe that we must first heal ourselves in order to heal the world. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to talk about techniques, modern techniques, ancient techniques. We're going to bridge the gap between hypnosis, subconscious mind, trauma-informed healing with yogic practices in Buddhism in order to be able to arrive at a deeper understanding of our suffering. Why do we suffer so much? Because more than likely, if you're here, and if you're like the many of the people that I spoke with on the phone before we had this moment, you have tried everything. You've done the talk therapy, you've done the personal work, you've gone to yoga classes, you've gotten real sweaty in a room with a bunch of strangers, you've done the plant medicine works, you've sat with different tribes and ayahuasca and this and that other thing, and maybe you've tried a whole host of things your entire life, and yet there is still patterns in your life that are perpetuating. You still find yourself repeating old patterns, and maybe that old pattern is a relationship that keeps playing out over and over again. Maybe that old pattern is difficulties with money and challenges. Or maybe you're very successful and externally in the outside world, you feel and you look very successful, but internally you feel empty inside. And there's no amount of stuff that we can buy that is filling that gap. And you're questioning yourself and you're staying up at night wondering, what is it? What is wrong? That's exactly what we're going to be speaking about today. So, like I mentioned before, you've done the work, you've read the books, you've tried the therapy, and yet you still feel stuck. You still feel like you've been living the same 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years on repeat over and over again. And you want to get off that hamster wheel, but you just don't even know where to start, where to look. And I get it. And the truth is, you're not broken. You're not lazy. You're simply running patterns that you did not choose. And today, we're going to begin the process of making a lasting change together. Now, before we can talk about hypnosis, before we can talk about yoga, before we can talk about these concepts, it's very important that we all have a shared understanding of what that means. So each and every single one of you received an email with a PDF. Now, I have to be honest, I came up with this PDF very last minute. So we're going to work on this together. And in this PDF, there's going to be a series of fill-in-the-blank questions. So at home, you can take notes, or if you were able to, you were actually able to print this out and you can fill in the blanks, right? So if that's you, you have a few options. Otherwise, you can just listen and take notes. But today, I want you to talk about words. And we're going to talk about specific words because words have power, especially when we speak them, right? There's spells that we're casting out into the world. So having a shared understanding and definition is going to be incredibly important for us moving forward. So what are we talking about, right? What these words mean? Okay, so starting with hypnosis. 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 Hypnosis is a return to inner authority through focused awareness, not mind control. Let's talk about yoga. What is yoga? Yoga is the science of inner union and freedom, not just awareness of your breath or getting real flexible and bendy in a sweaty room. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is not mindfulness is radical presence, not just awareness of your breath. And healing is returning to wholeness, not just fixing what is broken. In Buddhism, we say that you're not actually broken. In yoga, we say that there is nothing that could possibly be broken. There are just things that we have forgotten. There are things that are muddying our mirror, that are muddying the screen. And what we get to do together with the practices of yoga, of mindfulness, of hypnosis, is let go and declutter the things that are keeping us from seeing and really experiencing what that is. And then when we talk about, and we're going to hear this word a lot in the next hour, subconscious. Subconscious. Subconscious is your emotional memory bank, not a filing cabinet. Not just a filing cabinet. I need to change that. Okay. And throughout this presentation, what we're going to do is we're going to use these definitions and these words, and we're going to have a clear understanding of what it is that we mean by hypnosis, by yoga, the subconscious mind, all of these things. And how do we use the power of our subconscious mind in order to arrive at lasting healing for ourselves? Not just putting a band-aid on our issues, but actually making a change in our life. So let's talk first about why you're still stuck. So how many of you have seen an iceberg, either in person or in the movies, right? So if we have the iceberg over here, when you see the iceberg, if you're on a little boat, yeah, this is your little boat. And if you're here on your little boat, you see what? What part of the iceberg do we see? Type it in the chat. What part of the iceberg do we see above the surface? The tip, right? Now, the tip of the iceberg here is our conscious mind. Our conscious mind. And our conscious mind is the mind that you and I are using right now to have this conversation. It is the one that's telling you to pay attention. It is the one that is witnessing this world and what is happening. It's the one that's making up stories about what it is that is happening. Now, this conscious mind is also the mind that helps us with our logical brain, the one that helps us make decisions, solve math problems, create a to-do list, think about the next thing, think about lunch and dinner and what are we going to do next. That's the conscious mind. Most people that have an untrained mind live in this conscious space most of the time. Because they live in this conscious state, they live in their logical brain. They live in the part of their brain that is constantly thinking about doing and action. It's very action-oriented, very logical. Beneath the surface of the iceberg is where we find most of the iceberg, and here we have our subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind, the reason why we use this analogy is because the subconscious mind controls 95% of what we experience. Our world and our lives are not dictated by what we're consciously experiencing. they're dictated by our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is the one that's in charge of operating all of our organs, our heartbeats, our breath, our digestion, our nervous system, our immune system. All of these things are operated by the subconscious mind, as well as the stories that we tell ourselves about what it is that we're experiencing. So to give you an example, the subconscious mind is like the software that we use to run the computer. The computer is our physical bodies. The conscious mind is the display of the programs, right? When I click on my internet browser, the whole internet opens up. But we're not seeing the whole internet. We're seeing the things that we're clicking on, right? We're seeing images that are being blasted on the screen. And the image is not the same as the software. The software is running the entire computer. And the software is allowing us to connect online, right? So the subconscious mind is the software that operates the hardware that is your body. Your conscious mind is the display. And we have to understand this. We must not confuse the display with the software. The mistake that most people make, and the reason why you're still stuck, is because everything that you've been doing, therapy, parts work, psychedelics, trips, massages, vacation, yoga, this and that other thing. These things are tackling the problem from the conscious mind, from the space of conscious awareness. However, when we do that, we're not addressing what's actually a bit most of what our life is, which is this subconscious aspect of ourselves. Now, this pattern is a pattern that looks something like this, and this is what most people experience in their life. Okay? You have trauma. Something happened to you at some point in your life, something painful, something that left an imprint. If you are a human being that feels emotions, you have had an experience that has marked you, that has changed you profoundly. Not always negative experiences. Sometimes there's very beautiful, positive experiences. If we're very fortunate and blessed in this life, we've had a lot of those. And if we're very lucky, we've also learned from these very traumatic experiences. But nevertheless, you've experienced trauma. That trauma has created a belief. A belief. The trauma created a belief. The belief creates certain thoughts. The belief creates emotions. These emotions that you feel as a result of this trauma or experiencing this trauma again leads to certain kinds of actions and behaviors. Sometimes those are positive, oftentimes they are negative. Sometimes it's not even an action, but it's the lack of an action. Procrastination, perfectionism, shyness, extrovertedness, OCD, all these things, these are manifestations of trauma. Those actions lead to shame or guilt. Negative actions that are caused by negative emotions, that are caused from beliefs that occur from trauma, create shame and guilt, which brings us back to the origin of our trauma. How many of you here have a friend? And your friend has been the kind of person that um, she was in a really bad relationship and dating a guy that was bad news bears. And she broke up with this person. And a few months later, sometimes a few days later, they find themselves dating the same person, not literally the same person, but another person that is more or less like the same person. And when you say something to that, it's bad friends. They're just completely oblivious. They just don't see it at all. So probably ladies in the chat, how many of you had that experience? Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, maybe here's another one for everyone. How many of you have quit a job, left a job that you didn't like, that you didn't appreciate because of a manager or a boss or a person, only to find yourself either right after or years later in a very similar situation? Maybe you were working somewhere and you just were not appreciated and you were not seen for the effort that you were putting through in that work. And then maybe as a result of that, you left that job and now you find yourself in another job where the same thing is happening. Type in me in the chat. Type in me in the chat if that's you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm seeing some yeses. Yes. Cool. Exactly. Okay. That is the manifestation of a cycle. We call this a cycle, a trauma cycle that repeats itself over and over again unless we find a way to break that cycle. And we break that cycle by readdressing the trauma. And we do that with what we call our root cause healing method. So here's another example. For those of you that are lucky enough to have a backyard, right? In your backyard, you have grass, right? There's grass. Maybe you have a couple of trees. What is something that grows in your backyard that you don't like? It's not grass, it's very pokey. What is it? What is that called? Type it in the chat. What is it that grows in our backyard sometimes that we're just like not very excited about? Weeds, exactly. Weeds, right? So we have these weeds, right? And these weeds are just really annoying, right? Because they're just very pokey. It just doesn't look nice, yeah? So we have these weeds growing in our backyard. And let's say someone comes and they mow the lawn, right? So these are the weeds. Here are the roots of those weeds, by the way. So let's say someone comes and they mow the lawn, right? They come and they mow the lawn and they cut the lawn. And wow, okay, cool. Now the weeds are gone. But what happens? What happens a week later after you mow your lawn? Type it in the chat. What happens a week later after you mow the lawn? Yes, exactly. The weeds grow back. Sometimes they grow even stronger, yeah? Like sometimes they get even bigger than that. Why is that? Why is that? Why do the weeds keep growing back? Type it in the chat. Why do we think that the weeds grow back? We're interacting today, y'all. Like I'm not just gonna be talking here to a camera. Like let me hear from you. Why is it that the weeds are coming back? Exactly. It's because we haven't taken care of the roots. Anytime that you go to therapy and you just decide that, hey, I'm gonna address this thing that happened. We're cutting parts of that. So maybe this part is like, oh, that one time my dad said that one thing. Or that other time when Sally broke up with me in high school. Or that time I got kicked out of my job or fired from my job. Like we can address those things. And sometimes, maybe you're sitting here like, hey man, I know exactly what the root of my problems are. And you can tell me in full detail when I was 7 years old in Mr. John's class, 3rd grade, blah, 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 blah. You know exactly your traumas. You have the whole picture, the whole movie planned out. So then why? Why is it that we're still suffering from those same patterns? Why is it that something that happened to us 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, why is that still having such a tremendous impact in our life? It is because we understand something consciously, but because we haven't addressed it from the roots, and we haven't removed the root and made peace with the roots of our problems. Those weeds are going to keep growing back over and over and over again, and then we're going to find ourselves in that cycle, repeating those cycles over and over again. What we do in our school is that we help people be able to find the root cause of their problems so that they can truly find lasting change and lasting healing from that trauma. There's a quote by Carl Jung that goes, "Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life, and we will call it fate." Until we make the unconscious, conscious, it will rule our life, and we will call it fate. This is very important because you might think that something is conscious. I know my trauma, but if I haven't given myself the permission to experience that in a space where I feel safe enough to do so, then there is no amount of talking about our problems that is going to change them. There is no amount of taking actions that is going to change that. There's a specific way that we do that. And in the practice of yoga, the practice of mindfulness, all of these things are incredibly powerful tools for helping us arrive at a place where we can get closer to those answers. However, not doing that, not putting in that work, is going to have its results as well. Okay? So therapy talks to the tip of the iceberg, but your beliefs lie underneath. In yogic terms, we call this the chitta. In the Buddhist teachings, the storehouse of consciousness. It holds our samskaras. It's not personal, it is patterned. These are patterns that we've been perpetuating, sometimes for lifetimes. So I want you to take a moment, let's pause right now. Take a moment and ask yourself, what part of your beliefs have you staying stuck? What beliefs do you have right now that are keeping you perpetuating these cycles in your relationships, in your finances, and in your physical health? How long are you going to allow those cycles to continue to dictate your life? Now, there is 3 elements to our root cause healing. 3 elements to our root cause healing method, right? In our root cause healing, I find that if we don't address these 3 elements, then our lives are never fully actualized and complete. We never fully arrive at the fulfillment of that understanding of our trauma. It becomes just another thing that we bypass. The first is mental. Mental. First, we have to address the mental aspect of it. This is where we use hypnosis to have direct access to the subconscious mind. There's a specific protocol that I walk through with our elite clients, and it is a 6-session process where we go really deep to all these limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, things that we might not even be consciously aware of. We get to the root cause of that so that we can understand it more fully. That's the mental process, right? The next one is the physical aspect of it. Because ultimately, if you find yourself going through this process mentally, removing these mental afflictions, the process of yoga is one that leads us to an understanding of asana. Asana is the physical practice of yoga postures. These postures were never meant to just make us have abs and do handstands and be very flexible and bendy. That's a byproduct of those things. But the aspect of the yoga practice, the physical practice, is a process of clearing and cleansing the body, preparing the body for these deeper states of mindfulness and presence. So this physical practice of yoga, it helps us by creating a body that is resilient. And what we do is that we combined hypnotherapy with helping you have a consistent physical practice that is going to help you to not only remove the pain that is happening mentally, but remove the pain that is happening physically, the discomfort. Maybe you're experiencing back pain, shoulder pain, different kinds of ailments, that things that happen. Or maybe you just want to be able to age more gracefully so you can play with your children and grandchildren a little bit longer. Maybe you just want to be able to do the things that you love for an extended period of time. What would it feel like to know that you are finally addressing elements of your life that you've been putting on hold for a long time? So, to understand suffering, to understand how do we alleviate suffering in our bodies, we first start mentally, then we go into physically, and then the last aspect of our process that we go through is our emotional bodies. Emotional. And for the emotional aspect of ourselves, we do this by making sure that as we are healing, as we are releasing it, letting go of these aspects of ourselves that are no longer serving us, that we are also improving our relationships. Ram Dass had a really famous quote that goes, "If you think that you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family." How many of us do all of this work on ourselves, only to find ourselves getting very triggered by our family, only for all this work and all this inner peace that we've been cultivating to go out the door the moment Thanksgiving rolls around, the moment we get a phone call from our cousin, the moment that we have to have a conversation with our mom, our dad, our spouse. How do we have and how do we embody yogic principles when we are not able to face the people that we love? And when the people that are closest to us and that we love the most are often the ones that challenge us the most. You see, yoga is not just a practice that you do with your body. It is a practice that you do with your entire being, with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And the practice of yoga is one that allows us to have better relationships. One of my mentors taught me that enlightenment is not being free from the world, is setting the world free from yourself. Enlightenment is not being free from the world. Enlightenment is setting the world free from yourself. So, in what ways are we causing more harm than good? Unintentionally. That's what we're talking about here. Experiencing this deep healing that transcends both very limited as elements of that. What most people do when they want to heal from anything, they want to heal from their trauma, they go talk to a therapist. If they want to heal their physical body, they go to a physical therapist, or they get a personal trainer, or they go get sweaty in a hot room at a yoga studio. Or if someone wants to improve their relationships and their communication, they talk to a coach, or maybe they go through a relationship expert. What we do at our school is that we empower our students to be able to improve all elements of their lives simultaneously by using ancient yogic Buddhist principles and combining that with modern techniques of hypnotherapy and psychoanalysis, so that they can arrive at a deeper level of understanding of themselves and be able to actually do the thing that they were meant to do in this life. Because let's face it, if you're a high achiever, if you are an entrepreneur, an artist, a creative person, if you're a mother, a father, someone that is taking care of a family, someone that's taking care of a business with employees, if you have responsibilities and you care about the well being of others, then it is your responsibility to take care of yourself. Because here's the thing, every single person on this call has experienced trauma. You yourself have had things that have happened to you, and it's not your fault. But it is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to do something that is going to be helpful, not just for you, but for the people that you love. And that's what we are talking about here today. So let me share with you all a little bit of a personal story. So I come from the military, and I was in the Air Force for 4.5 years. And while I am very grateful for that experience, and it's given me so much, and I learned so much, as an aircraft mechanic, I got to travel the world. I lived in Europe. I saw some incredible things. And at the same time, I experienced a lot. And when I left the service, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I didn't want to put bombs on jets anymore. And I also knew that, and I felt conflicted because I knew that what I was working on, the things that I was doing, were ultimately not, in my opinion, making the world a better place. And I wanted to dedicate my life to rectifying that karma and doing something that would be different. But I'd never done anything. I had never had any examples in my life of what that could even look like. When I found yoga, I went all in. I invested in teacher trainings. I started teaching classes. I started practicing yoga and meditating and doing breathing techniques, and I went all in. And no matter how far and how much I succeeded in that world, how many trainings I did, how many accolades and things people gave me, and promotions I got, I made it all the way up to management and got an opportunity to be a director of a hot yoga studio in Los Angeles. And it didn't matter how far I went up this chain, inside there was a voice that told me that I was an imposter. That who was I to have the audacity to even think that I can call myself a yogi? Who am I to help other people with anything? I felt like I was lying to people for years and years. I felt like I was misappropriating the teachings of yoga. And the truth is that I was. Not because I was teaching at fitness studios or teaching physical asana, but I was because there was this key element of what this practice is about, which is ultimately about understanding myself. And because I hadn't addressed this, these deep-seated subconscious beliefs that were informed by trauma that I had experienced as a child, every action that I was taking was feeding into an element of myself, that told me that I wasn't good enough. So therefore, the yoga, the spirituality, all became a way of bypassing what my actual experience was of myself. I would do these really intense physical practices as a means of not actually being able to, or taking the time to sit with myself and find a way to change that was not predicated on that. You see, I tried everything. I've sat in medicine circles, I've taken the ayahuasca, I've done the physical practices, I've meditated, I've done the sensory deprivation tanks, I've traveled, I have done all the things, but yet I still found myself feeling like an imposter, feeling like I wasn't good enough, comparing myself to other people. No matter how much I succeeded, it was never enough. And this not enoughness became like a cloud that covered everything that I was doing, and it made it impossible for me to be able to enjoy myself until I found my mentor. until I learned about hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I learned that so long as I was continuing to pretend that I could figure this out on my own, that I would keep encountering these roadblocks over and over and over again. The moment I decided to do something different and try to understand the mechanisms beneath my decision making, the reasons why I was doing the things that I was doing, the reasons why I kept perpetuating those patterns, I was able to actually give myself permission to be myself and to enjoy my time on this earth. And what I have dedicated my life to do is to help you do the exact same. That was a big turning point for me, was being able to realize that, oh, I can't keep blaming others for what's happened to me. It's not my brother's fault, or my dad, or the military, or the government, or this person or that person. It's me. Ultimately, I am responsible for the kind of life that I want to live. And what we're about to go through and what we're about to experience in just a moment is a way for being able to take ownership, radical ownership of our lives. Because what happens to most of us is that when we experience traumatic things, we do everything in our power to not see it. So imagine that you're in your room, right? So here is your bed, here is your closet, right? And inside of your room, there's a mess. You got clothes all over the place, there's tchotchkes and things thrown all over the place, cool, right? And instead of cleaning our room, we decide that we're just gonna throw everything in the closet. Just shove all these things inside of the closet, right? So cool, so now the room looks clean, but deep down inside, we know that we have some skeletons in these closets, yeah? There's some stuff that's buried deep inside that we just stuffed up in there. What do you think happens if you open this door? Right? All of that is gonna spew back out into the room. When what we resist persists, and when we don't give ourselves permission to feel the pain of what it is that we're going through, we are going to have a hard time. We're going to have a hard time in this life because we're not willing to actually sit with our experience. So this next experience, this next part of this training, we're going to go through what's known as the low road, high road. And I'm going to do a guided hypnosis where from home, I'm going to guide you through an experience of what it is like to go through the low road. This is the road where if you continue to live this life, this pattern that you've created for yourself, you're going to have a certain kind of experience and where that leads us to. And then we're going to talk about the high road. What happens when we face our demons? What happens when we decide that we don't want to leave our healing to chance or in the hands of other people, but we want to be active participants in this life and in this world? What happens when we actually make the choice to change? Not tomorrow, not next week or next month or when it's convenient, but now, today. And what does life look like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when we decide to make that choice? So, this is the part of the experience what you've all been waiting for. How many of you would like to actually experience hypnosis? Type in me in the chat if you're ready to actually see what this is all about. Like actually have a felt sense for this experience. Me. Okay, bet. Let's go, everyone. So I want you to, first and foremost, anytime you're about to receive hypnosis, you want to silence your notifications. So if you're using your phone, turn off your notifications, go on airplane mode. You can do the same thing on your laptop. Just turn everything off. Give yourself permission to be in an environment where you're completely quiet, completely safe. Okay. Now, I want you to find a comfortable space. I'm going to set myself up here with my computer. Let me change screens here in just a moment. Okay, so going through our hypnosis session. Are you ready? Cool. Taking a moment to close the eyes, finding ourselves in this now space. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's go with 20 or 30 minutes after this moment. Now, you've experienced the high road, my friends. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, opening the eyes. Great. How are you feeling, y'all? On a scale of 1 to 10, type it in the chat. How are you feeling right now? Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Any unexpected, any things that came up for you in the chat? You can type it in the chat. What were some like unexpected things that you felt? Great. This, that, or the other. All right, rad. Well, look. You've experienced both paths. You've experienced the low road and you've experienced the high road. See, the thing is, the subconscious loves what's familiar. It loves old patterns. It loves to repeat what it's done before. But freedom, true freedom, is a choice. What choice are you going to make today? Now, there are some of you here today that are ready to get started. Some of you here right now are ready to make a decision that's going to change the rest of your life. And all you need is a little bit more information. You want to learn more about what it would look like to work together. In this now moment, I only have space for 5 private clients. There is 185 people that registered for today's masterclass. So the first 5 people that sign up are going to get a free hypnotherapy session with me, regardless of whether you sign up or not. The first 5 people that sign up using this link are going to get a free hypnosis session with me once you sign up. And in that session, we're going to go specifically through money blocks. Now, the 6 sessions that I do with folks are as follows. The first session is a breakthrough session. In that session, we go through together and discover all of the major limiting beliefs and limiting decisions that you've made in your life. The second session is a release. This is the session where we actually take with that newfound awareness and let go and reprogram that belief into something that's actually more positive, more conducive to the life that you want to live. The third session is a session where I guide you through this money block release. And in the money block release, we identify all of your limiting beliefs when it comes to money, wealth, success. And again, whether you have it or you don't have it, all of our decisions around money are informed by traumatic experiences that we've had as children. Either focusing too much of it or not enough, any struggles that we have with it, you're going to be able to see that, clear that, and remove that. And what's really truly magical about that experience is that every single time that I've done that money block release with my students, every single time I've had a message that has said something along the lines of what life has been like. So here's some screenshots of what that looks like. Bam, bam, bam. Cool. So, and if you want to experience it for yourself, you're going to get to do that on our third session. The fourth session is going to be this. The fifth session is going to be that. And the sixth session, the fourth session is where we're going to do the low road, high road again. But this time, we're going to customize this low road and high road specifically to your goals, your vision for what you want to create for yourself. And the low road, high road is actually a 21-day protocol. There's a very specific way of listening to this, and you're actually going to receive these recordings for life. And what this protocol of low road, high road is going to be, the 21-day protocol, It's going to be a method for permanently overcoming your procrastination. So how do we remove procrastination from our minds so that we can take action now and follow through on our goals and our dreams? That's the fourth session. The fifth session is typically another breakthrough, because oftentimes as we're clearing, more things can come up. And then the last session is where I help you create a sleep hypnosis protocol, a 30-day protocol that you're going to listen while you sleep, based on any goals, things that you're trying to achieve for yourself, okay? Those are 6 sessions. And again, I have a very, very limited amount of time that I have left. For this time only, it is the last time that I will be offering hypnotherapy for $5,500. So if you're interested, if you want to learn more about what it looks like to receive hypnotherapy, click the link. Serenity is going to put the QR code on the screen right now. Thanks, babe. Take out your phone right now. Take out your phone, point it at the screen. Now you're going to click and book a call with our team. You're going to book a call with me or someone in our team, and then we're going to help you get started. On top of that, we're going to give you access to our school platform. Now I know some of you are like, man, this is great, but there's no way that I can afford 5,000. Or maybe you can, and that you're seeing me for the first time, and I get it. I understand. You want to be able to know what we're about. For those of you that are interested, the first 10 people to join our school are going to receive a free course on blank. And in this free course, you're also going to get blank and blank. See, we have an online yoga school called Yoga Marga School. And what we do is that we help you continue this healing process, root cause healing method, but we help you apply these principles into your life. So understanding how to develop a consistent meditation practice, consistent yoga practice, how to be able to actually improve your relationships. We have modules on communication, yoga, healing, this, that, and the other thing. Now, this course is not $9,000. It's not $5,000. It is not even $3,000. If you'd like to try out Yoga Marga and come practice with us and be a part of our community, it is only one payment of $297 for the month. That is the rate that it typically goes by. For those of you that sign up today, you can give it a try and experience Yoga Marga School for only $158 a month. Now, this price is only available for the next couple of hours. After that, we're going to go back to our regular $297. Once you're locked into this rate, you're locked into this rate for life. And it's not a contract. It's month to month. You can pause your membership, cancel your membership, wherever you like. All you have to do is click on the link below. Once you get started, you send us a message, and then we'll schedule your private hypnotherapy session. It's a free session that you'll do with Gab. And that's it. That's what we have for you today. Thank you so much. I hope that this was enlightening. I have no way of knowing just how much value you're getting out of this, how excited you are. And I tell you what, if you're on the fence, if you want to learn more, maybe you want to get certified, maybe you're questioning whether or not you should or you shouldn't, book a call. I would love to talk to you, or I'd love to introduce you to someone from my team. And we'd love to get to know you a little bit more. We'd love to know exactly what it is that you're dealing with, what your situation is like, and how we can help you get started to making a lasting change in your life. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to leave the floor open for Q&A. If anybody has any questions, now is the time. And then, boom, hopefully you have 15 to 20 minutes. And that's the presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sure.